gin up millennial support while Donald Trump is headed to Florida. Both nominees responded to the terrorist attacks over the weekend. Donald Trump tweeted this last night. Under the leadership of Obama and Clinton, Americans have experienced more attacks at home than victories abroad. Time to change the playbook, he wrote. While his rival Hillary Clinton tweeted this: I strongly condemn the apparent terrorist attacks in Minnesota, New Jersey, and in New York. This coming as the latest Fox News poll shows Hillary Clinton in the lead when it comes to who has the better temperament to serve as president. Among likely voters, she has 59% support to Donald Trump's 38%. Terrorism once again front and center in this election, so will Donald Trump's tough talk sway voters? I want to bring in right now Betsy McCaughey. She is former New York lieutenant governor and a Trump supporter. Also with us is Jehmu Greene, a Fox News political analyst and a former advisor to Hillary Clinton's 2008 presidential campaign. Ladies, good to see you.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for joining us. Your thoughts on what has transpired, Betsy?
Well, clearly Americans want effective homeland security. They want increased defense capabilities abroad, and they want a tightening of the vetting system for new arrivals to the United States, especially in response to what happened in Minnesota, which is one of the largest enclaves of refugee resettlement in the United States, and certainly the capital of recruiting for ISIS, a very large trial going on there right now of new ISIS recruitees who are bringing in more ISIS terrorists.
Obviously, Jehmu, we do not know the background of the terrorism that has taken place in New York and New Jersey. Hillary Clinton called it apparent terrorism in New York, New Jersey, and obviously in Minnesota. What's your take on these developments?
Look, I actually agree with Betsy that these are the pieces that Americans are really looking for. The thing is, one of the reasons why you have so many generals and military professionals and foreign policy experts supporting Hillary Clinton is because of what that Fox News poll revealed, is that Donald Trump's temperament is a very big concern. Americans are not looking for a tweeter-in-chief. They're not looking for a bully-in-chief, someone who's going to pop off, within 30 seconds of something happening. We need someone who's going to work with the intelligence community, who's going to work with law enforcement, and make sure that the leader of the U.S. is actually in line and not getting ahead of our law enforcement and intelligence.
Unfortunately, however, ISIS and other terrorist organizations achieved global dominance in many areas of the world during Hillary Clinton's watch. And moreover, Hillary Clinton herself put the nation in real peril by allowing classified information to be transmitted on a faulty server rather than on the State Department server. We now know it's been hacked several times.
As a career military officer and law enforcement officer, I could really speak to this issue about strength versus weakness. The President of the United States and Hillary Clinton has created an atmosphere around this world that this country could be bullied and forced to do anything at their will. The Iranian situation was a travesty. It was clearly money for hostages. So we're going to see a problem down the road with Iran. The Russians are flying their bombers over the West Coast. They're bullying us on the high seas. All this is a result of the failure of Hillary Clinton's leadership. Benghazi was a lie from the beginning.
But I'll touch on this, though, because over the weekend when there's a stabbing and there is a bomb going off in the middle of New York City and in New Jersey, and then the developments overnight, people aren't sitting at home connecting the dots like that. They're going, what is our next commander-in-chief potentially going to say to me? And because President Obama has made himself, he has said, it's my third term. You elect Hillary Clinton and you're getting a third Obama term. I'm paraphrasing, obviously. But when he doesn't say anything, does that hurt her? When he says paltry little about what's going on over the weekend, does that reflect upon her and her campaign?
Look, I think President Obama is going to be Hillary Clinton's strongest surrogate. Clearly his approval ratings are through the roof right now. But just to touch on the ISIS issue, I think one of the things that isn't talked about is the ideology behind ISIS and what they want. They want a war between us and them. Who is the presidential candidate that is most forcefully saying they're the other, they're bad, Islam is bad. He's actually, Mr. Trump, playing into that end goal that they want. And that is really frightening.
I find that preposterous. You must name your enemy before you can defeat your enemy.
Who is actually in line with a major party presidential candidate and rooting him on, because this is going to be.
It's hard to understand that, given the fact that he's been the one to call this out. The left is so afraid or unwilling to call out terrorism. I mean, even yesterday, after we know that it was a bomb in New York City, the governor and the mayor were very, and I understand being cautious, of course, but throughout this entire year where we've seen attack after attack around the world, it's been Donald Trump to call this out. And it's been the left, Hillary included, to be tiptoeing around it. Americans now are sick of it.
If you're looking for foreign policy in 140 characters, then vote for Donald Trump.
No.
If you're looking for someone that our military leaders are saying, we trust you, that he has gotten fewer endorsements from military leaders than any Republican candidate, and they usually hold that ground.
Only politicians seek endorsements.
You said something very interesting, and it really resonated. You said that ISIS wants to have a war. That's the problem. We're at war. The White House doesn't understand. Hillary Clinton doesn't understand. The left doesn't understand that we are engaged in a war, a different kind of war.
Their war depends on recruiting lone wolves. And the recruitment of lone wolves is when you have someone using the rhetoric of Donald Trump. Like, we have made so much progress on the ground, taking away their territory in the Middle East. But what has been a challenge are the lone wolves here in the U.S. And that is what he is playing into.
But, Jehmu, trying to make that connection between what Donald Trump says and attacks brought on the American people, whether it's by a lone wolf or a cell, it always goes back to that the American people somehow deserve the attack on 9/11, that we brought it on ourselves because of our attacks. And I think that you would patently dismiss that.
And moving on to politics,
but I think that your argument about Trump is very simple.
Has many people advising him. He retweets many people who actually
let me go back to the president
on ourselves. He is aligned with Alex Jones.
Let me go back to the president for a second.
George Bush was behind 9/11.
Hillary had 8 years to solve
It's always Bush and it's always Trump.
That's what Trump's best friend, Alex Jones, who he says is never wrong, who blamed 9/11 on us. He is taking advice from this conspiracy.
Obama and Clinton had 8 years to solve this problem, and it's worse than ever. Just like they had 8 years to pull us out of a recession, and the economy is still
We have that soundbite of President Obama.